Can faith, in fact, help unite us in divided times?
Thank you. And first I want to say thanks, Matt, for having us here, and for the Aspen Institute, and for all of you showing up this morning.
And thank you.
Yes, I believe faith can and should be what unites us and brings us together. Unfortunately, we have a long history of people of faith actually fostering some of the divisions in modern America, fostering divisions. And often that happens on the extremes. So you'll often see that on the, maybe on the far right and sometimes on the far left, where the ability to see other people's viewpoints, to respect other people's viewpoints, becomes harder and harder the more convinced you are that you are absolutely right about whatever the issue might be. And then as people of faith decided that politics was a realm in which they wanted to play, in a role different than influencing people and shaping their values and culture, in their faith, but instead saying, we'd like to get our guy elected, we want to make sure that, and aligning with a particular party, religion played an even more divisive role. But that, I don't think, typifies, at least in the Christian faith, it does not typify who we are. We're called to love our enemy, we're called to love our neighbors, we love ourselves, we're called to sacrifice, practice agape, all of these things that you find in the scripture. And every time we go into an election season, I remind my people, Jesus said, if you were to summarize the law and the prophets, it would be by this: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I said, if you try that in politics, you're going to practice politics in a way that brings people together instead of dividing them. He said, what summarizes the law and the prophets, he said two different things: the golden rule, and the other was love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as you love yourself. And your neighbor is the person of the opposite political party. It's the person who sees the world very differently from you. It's the person of another faith or religion. They are your neighbor. And that love isn't a warm, fuzzy feeling. It is a way of acting in which I put the needs of the other, in which I think of the concerns of the other before my own. And in that way, just that alone gives us the groundwork, the framework for being a force that unites. And in Kansas City, part of what we've said is, our culture is divided, our city is divided, and we want to be a community. There's roughly 20,000 of our members. We want you to go into the world being able to talk about issues in a way that brings people together instead of dividing. Yes, I think we can do that.
Yes, we could do that. All right. So, Abdullah, I'm going to leave you the possibility that you'll say no, and then we'll just have a crossfire-like exchange. It'll be great, going back and forth. But it is not obvious or intuitive necessarily that faith, often when there are a trio of men talking about their faith on a stage, it's as likely to be divisive or fostering division, perhaps, as it is to be fostering unity. So do you agree? Can faith help unite us?
Absolutely. Not only can, should, and must. I totally agree. It's beautifully put. Religion, one of the central promise of religion and faith, in general, of all faiths, is to unite people vertically with God and horizontally with the children of God. And if religion is not uniting, if religion is a source of division and polarization, that means it is failing in its central promise and it's contradicting its essence. But we have to be honest. We have to be honest that unfortunately, increasingly in our current time, religion is becoming a source of division, polarization, in many different parts of the world, including our own society. And we have to defeat on the religious grounds what parts of our theology, what parts of our faith tradition, what voices within our tradition, what causes these pathologies of division, disunity, and fight on the religious grounds. I think I be critical of, first, the religious leadership. There is a room for improvement for us to be a little bit more morally courageous and prophetic and call out to those crazies, those sources of division and polarization in our own communities before we call out to the others on the other side.